This is the Cessna 421 Golden Eagle, the aircraft that stands at the head of Cessna's 400 series piston twins. It's roomy and relatively quiet, fast and efficient. Performance approaches that of some turboprops, but purchase and operating costs are considerably lower. Though still considerable, they only look good when compared to propjets. The 421, which shares its basic airframe with most of the other 400 series Cessna twins, was introduced in 1968. Cessna aimed it at buyers who wanted better carrying capacity and performance than other piston twins offered, but who were put off by the high cost of turboprops. To get the performance these buyers were looking for, Cessna decided to use Continental GTSIO-520 geared engines, producing a healthy 375 horsepower apiece. That's nearly 3/4 of a horsepower per cubic inch, and the inevitable stress meant short service life. Originally, the TBO was a mere 1,200 hours. Later engines sported heavier crankcases that increased TBO to a still low 1,600 hours. The airplane was an immediate hit, with 200 sold that first year. Clearly, the Golden Eagle was something the market was looking for. As is common, refinements were immediately applied, and Cessna produced the A, B, and C variants. The C model was produced, relatively unchanged, for 9 years. In 1985, it, like all the other piston Cessnas, was discontinued for lack of sales. Overall, the 421C represents about half of the production run of 1,920 aircraft. But how does it compare to other aircraft in its class? Stay with us till the end of the video, because here's everything you need to know about the Cessna 421 Golden Eagle. Stepping inside, where the 421 really shines is in its comfort, especially for passengers. Most models are set up with 7 seats, 2 cockpit, 4 cabin, club, and the 7th seat is the potty. Though legal, almost no one uses the potty seat. It is small and faces inboard. Some cabins have an 8th seat, but the majority of the time this seat is stored in a hangar. When installed, it takes up valuable baggage space. 2 executive tables, the aft cabin potty, and an aft refreshment center are typical cabin features. A few aircraft will have a forward refreshment center positioned behind the pilot's seat. While aircraft owners and pilots can debate the relative noisiness of various airplanes, the fact remains that they're all loud. It's just a question of how loud. The cabin is among the quietest in the business, thanks mostly to its geared engines that produce plenty of power at low prop speeds. The pressurization system delivers shirt-sleeve comfort at altitude, providing sea-level pressure up to 10,000 feet and maintaining a 10,000-foot cabin altitude at true altitudes of more than 26,000 feet. The cabin is also quite wide at 55 inches, or 1.38 meters, and high at 50 inches, or 1.25 meters, and has sufficient room for such amenities as a galley and toilet. All of this translates into lower fatigue levels at the end of a flight. Noise and cramped quarters are tiring, and using oxygen dehydrates the crew and passengers. The ample baggage compartments also contribute to usable cabin space. For most flights, it's not necessary to carry anything in the cabin. As is common in many cabin-class twins, the door is blocked by the left rear seat. To get in or out, it's necessary to move that seat all the way forward. This can complicate emergency egress and make for some musical chairs during loading. Now let's step into the cockpit. Up front, the flight deck is generally well laid out, with good seats offering plenty of adjustability. The view outside is hindered a bit by the thick window pillars. On ice-equipped 421s, the entire windshield is heated, eliminating the flat hot plate common on many twins. The original cockpit was designed with a dual pilot configuration in mind, featuring a traditional array of flight instruments that provide essential flight data. The panel shows good design for the most part, with the engine gauges right up top and near the pilot's line of sight, where they ought to be. In some models, the fuel gauge is way over on the right, out of sight, out of mind, but is a capacitance type calibrated in pounds, which is more accurate than float gauges. The primary flight display in the initial models consisted of round dial analog gauges, which were standard for the era. This setup included a vertical speed indicator, an altimeter, and an airspeed indicator, alongside engine performance gauges that monitor manifold pressure and RPM. As avionics technology advanced, Many Cessna 421 aircraft were retrofitted with modern glass cockpit systems, which replaced the analog gauges with digital screens that offer more comprehensive and easily digestible information. A popular upgrade is the Garmin G600 or G500 flight display system. These systems integrate primary flight data, navigation, weather, terrain, and traffic information onto a single display, enhancing situational awareness and flight safety. The Garmin setup often includes a GNS 530 or GNS 430 GPS navigator. The autopilot systems have also seen significant upgrades, with many aircraft now featuring the Bendix King KFC 200 or Garmin GFC 600. The KFC 200 is known for its robust performance, offering features like altitude hold, vertical speed control, and approach coupling. The Garmin GFC 600, a more modern retrofit option, provides enhanced autopilot capabilities, including electronic stability and protection, underspeed and overspeed protection, and fully coupled approaches. Another critical aspect of the avionics is its communication and navigation radios. Older models originally equipped with analog radios have often been updated to include digital frequency-selective radios like the Bendix King KY196A for communication and the KN53 for navigation. Furthermore, the addition of modern MFDs like the Garmin GMX 200 or Avidyne X600 in the cockpit provides pilots with extensive situational awareness. These MFDs can display a range of data from traffic information systems, weather radar, and TAWs. Now let's talk about the engine, performance specifications, and how it flies. The Cessna 421C Golden Eagle is powered by two Continental GTSIO-520L or N engines. The L version is on 1976 through 1980 models, and the N is installed on 1981 and newer aircraft. Both engines provide 375 HP and have a 1600-hour TBO. Each engine is a geared turbocharged flat six, and the gearing in the GTSIO-520 reduces propeller RPM relative to engine RPM, which results in quieter operation and reduced vibration. Cessna chose the geared Continentals for their combination of high power and low prop speeds, which allowed the 421 to deliver good performance without punishing noise levels. But the geared engines proved to be more delicate than their direct drive siblings, developing a reputation for cracking cases. The 421's engines have gotten lots of attention for being delicate. The owners all note that they will go to TBO if treated well. That TBO was in the early models, a dismally short 1,200 hours. Later, engines had beefed up cases that raised the mark to 1,600, typical for engines of this size, but this did not eliminate the case cracking problem entirely. The aircraft requires 2,350 feet or 715 meters of runway to take off at sea level on a standard day and has a useful load of about 2,200 pounds or 1,000 kilograms. Temperature and throttle abuse are pure poison. Those GTSIO-520 engines need to be carefully managed. Overboosting on takeoff is one of the big reasons behind the GTSIO's case-cracking reputation. The throttles must be handled slowly and carefully, with the pilot constantly checking manifold pressure during the ground roll, watching for upward deviations. In flight, engine temperatures demand attention. Cylinder head temperatures that go too high or too low lead to cylinder problems, letting down calls for precise planning to prevent shock cooling. Steady climbs demand equally good management. Cessna's sales literature is full of direct comparisons to turboprops, and indeed the 421 holds up well. According to Cessna's sales kit for the 421C, at 25,000 feet, the Golden Eagle cruises faster than either the Piper Cheyenne 1 or the Beech King Air C90, beating the latter by 29 knots. All engine rate of climb is 2,000 feet or 610 meters, almost 200 FPM better than the Cheyenne, and within 15 FPM of the King Air. Service ceiling at 30,200 feet or 9,200 meters is much higher with both engines running and quite close with only one prop turning. Single engine rate of climb is not as good, no surprise there, but it's still within striking distance, about 200 FPM less than the King Air. On paper, the 421 is quite fast, 256 knots for the maximum speed and 240 knots for the cruise speed at 75% power. In the real world, though, cruise speeds are a bit less. Pilots report flight planning for anywhere from 195 to 215 kTAs at about 20,000 feet. Fuel burn is 50 gallons in the first hour and 40 thereafter. On shorter hops, however, it doesn't pay to climb that high. Trips shorter than 300 miles or 500 kilometers are normally flown at lower altitudes and speeds. Like most aircraft, the 421 is not able to fill all the seats, baggage compartments, and fuel tanks at the same time. It will, however, carry 4 or 5 adults, their bags, and full or near full fuel. Owners are unanimous in their praise of the airplane's real-world usefulness in load carrying. And finally, the aircraft has a maximum range of 1,500 nautical miles, which is 1,720 miles or 2,800 kilometers, and a minimum landing distance of 2,300 feet or 700 meters. Now let's talk about the price and cost. The purchase price for a new Cessna 421 is $300,000 to $700,000, and while the annual fixed cost is estimated at $40,000 to $60,000, the average hourly operating cost is estimated at $400 to $600. Thank you for staying with us till the end. Here are 2 videos you can watch next. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.